So today is August 5th, 2020. I am Michael Walsh. I work at the Yonkers Public Library. I'm currently in Yonkers, New York, and I'm with Ruth Kambar, who's a representative of the Assyrian Studies Association. She's an oral historian and archivist. We are here with Kenneth Kambar. Before proceeding with the interview, Kenneth, can you please state your name and your location?
My name is Kenneth David Kambar, and I am in Lake George, New York.
Thanks, Kenneth. Kenneth, do you give us permission to catalog this interview and make it available to the Yonkers Public Library and also the Assyrian Studies Association and the Library of Congress?
That's fine. Okay.
I do.
Okay. Kenneth, when and where were you born?
I was born February 7th, 1938 in Yonkers, New York.
Where did you grow up in Yonkers?
My first 5 years on 39 Caroline Avenue, and we moved down the hill to Buena Vista Avenue on the dead end next to Sunset Park.
Did your family visit any particular places in Yonkers?
Your church.
Yeah, we church and schools and parks, and I've been to the library. I guess the library is gone now, the old one.
Yeah, the Carnegie Library was torn down in 1982, actually.
Which parks?
Sunset Park is where we live by. And we live by the Hudson River. We spend a lot of time on the river. But
What's the park that you used to have, the Assyrian Park at dinner
yeah,
time?
I don't know, Trevor Park or
Trevor.
whatever. We used to have Assyrian picnics.
Yes.
So you belong to the Church of the East in Yonkers?
No, it was the Assyrian Presbyterian Church.
Oh, okay. Did you belong to any organizations outside of the Assyrian community in Yonkers?
I belong to D. Malay
The Boy Scouts.
and the Boy Scouts and Cub Scouts. Troop 13.
Who lived in your Yonkers household with you?
My mother, my father, and my middle brother, Robert.
Well, tell him about your older brother. Tell him about Bill, that he's in the
Well, Bill was
service.
gone in the service or wherever. He was not.
What is the birth? Oh, okay. What is the birth order of the children in your family?
What?
The birth order. Bill goes first.
Oh, Bill first in 1925, and Bob in 1932, and me in 1938.
What are your parents' full names?
Your parents.
My father's Yonan, Yonan Kambar, and my mother is Emma Kambar.
Give him
What's-
her maiden name.
Her
Morad.
maiden name was Murad. Moorad.
Do your parents have siblings?
Yes.
What?
Do your parents have siblings? Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And who were they?
What are the names of this?
She had an older brother born in Iran, Abraham, and she was born in Iran. And when they moved to Philadelphia, they had two more, John and Jenny.
So your grandparents, they were living in Iran or somewhere else?
I only met one grandparent when I was very young in Chicago.
And that was your,
That was my mother's mother.
tell her her name.
I don't know.
What was her name?
I'm trying to think. We'll start with a B.
That's Sheba.
Bathsheba.
Does your family have a religious background?
Did they come from a religious background?
Yeah.
I think so, because what's the people from the church that go over to Iran, and they
They used to return to Iran for vacations.
no back.
I mean, the Presbyterian Church.
Yeah, but they converted them in the 1800s to a Presbyterian.
Oh,
Different, what do you call them?
missionaries.
Missionary. So I think they came here as Presbyterians.
So,
Tell
do
them
you,
tell them about your
no, go ahead.
grandma, how she came.
No, we're not there yet, Aunt Diana.
Okay.
What's your
So
latest
do
question?
you attend the Presbyterian church?
19.
Do you attend the Presbyterian Church here in Lake George?
No.
Because it's
No.
not
Oh,
Assyrian.
okay. Okay, but you grew up going to that church when you were younger?
Yes, the Assyrian Presbyterian Church. Tell them, do you remember what the name of this road was?
Jackson Street.
Jackson Street.
Oh, okay. Are there any languages spoken in your childhood home besides English?
Wait, what?
What did they speak in your household?
Oh, they spoke Assyrian and English. Usually spoke Assyrian when they didn't want me to know what they were talking about.
What schools did you attend in Yonkers?
Public School 19 and Hawthorne Junior High and Gorton.
High school.
Did you pursue a post-high school education?
Yes. I went to State University of New York at Delhi and Cobleskill. I graduated from Cobleskill.
What did you earn your degree in?
Dairy technology.
Tell them you went to Georgia too.
Then I went to University of Georgia.
Do you know anything about your parents' schooling?
About my,
Your parents' schooling?
oh,
Did they go to school?
I don't know if my father ever went to school. My mother went maybe to 8th grade.
She finished 8th grade and then they moved back to Philadelphia.
Well, her father died and
Yeah.
she had to, I don't know, she had to leave school.
What did you do when you graduated?
What did you do when you graduated? Went to work.
I worked for a company called Drew Chemical Company in Boonton, New Jersey. And we sold chemicals to dairy plants and soda bottling plants and beer bottling
But
plants.
tell them that you moved from Yonkers to
We moved from Yonkers to Spring Valley in '62. When I got out of college, I said, we are out of here. And I didn't want to live in an apartment, and we bought a brand new house in Spring Valley.
What were your parents' occupations?
My father worked in the glove mills when he first came. He lived with a bunch of Assyrian men. He told me a story. He got off a shift and he went in bed, and he lived with a bunch of men over Finkelstein's dairy store. And he says there were so many bed bugs. He says, I got up and I went back to work. Then he worked for most of his years in Campbell Hat Factory off of Highland Avenue there. I can't remember the name of the street. Until they closed. And then he worked in Mulford Gardens as a maintenance person. And then he retired.
Oh, okay.
And my mother
Ruth,
worked in dress shops, women's clothes down in Getty Square. And then she worked the most of her time in Gimbel's in the Cross County Shopping
Over
Center.
30 years.
And she retired from there.
oh, wow. Interesting. Ruth, do you want to ask
She
the?
didn't go to work until I was in
She was 40.
junior high, I think. And she was home almost all of that time, so. I still couldn't get in the house, though. I didn't have a key.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean?
I used to change my clothes in the hallway, and she left me something to eat after school.
They didn't trust you?
No, she didn't want him to dirty the house.
He's not joking.
Oh, he's not joking.
Oh, no, I'm not joking.
No,
I tell true stories.
Kenny, what does it mean to you to be an Assyrian?
Oh. Probably the most thing is there is not a lot of Assyrians in the world, and it's nice to be
a rarity.
a rarity, I guess. But, and the people I knew, the Assyrians that I know and did know are the best people in the world.
Why?
We were close people in the church, and we did church picnics every summer, every Sunday in the summer.
However, the families were like close relatives.
Yeah, a lot of people were like close relatives, whether you were related directly or not. And I have a childhood story when I was, I'm going to say 2 years old, I don't know. I'm at a church picnic and my mother had me tied on a tether to a tree. And the minister came over and said, what do you got him tied to a tree for? Let him go. Oh, you want us to let him go? So they let me go, and I got into everything. And it destroyed the whole place, and they said, okay, tie him up.
Do you speak Assyrian?
No,
They never taught him.
I never learned. I learned words, which it's been a long time, so I haven't.
So what word is the most popular word that you can think of?
Oh, you don't want to hear that.
Yes.
What's the word?
Khmara is the one word I remember, and
What did your grandmother used to call you?
I don't remember.
That means, Khmana means jackass for a
Yeah,
minute.
okay, yeah. So,
When you were growing up, did you eat traditional foods, Assyrian food?
yes, we did.
Like what?
Stuffed grape leaves,
Chipta.
chipta, yeah. Diana still makes chipta.
Moist, moist, the bean stew, whatever it's
Yeah,
called.
what is that?
Mashta?
Marsha, yeah.
Rice.
I didn't like that too much. The Syrian rice I like. Dolma I love.
Mm.
You're a
Well, my father made it with
Grape leaves.
grape leaves, but he made also stuffed peppers and stuffed
Cabbage.
cabbage, yeah. And they were all good. And he made his own hamburgers where he put his own ingredients in, which Diana still makes today with onions and
Celery and
thyme.
garlic and thyme and dill.
and dill. And that's what we have. Yornan's hamburgers, we call it.
And have you ever eaten Assyrian food outside the house?
Yeah, at other people's homes we have. The Viddies used to invite us over, and we never had a car. So people with cars would come and get us, or we take public transportation. So we did go to different people's houses, or sometimes they brought food over. They brought dishes over, cookies over. That was nice.
And did you know any Assyrian music?
Not by name, but I mean,
Bill had every record in the world we heard.
Bill had all the records. I have some old ones that are only printed on one side. That's how
Yep.
old they are.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And I just got 3 CDs Davey Odisha gave me with Assyrian music on it.
We're interviewing David next week.
Oh, good.
Oh, okay, good.
And do you know any Assyrian games?
Games. Do you remember any of
I
them?
don't remember any.
And where were your parents born?
In Jilpashan, I think, in Urmia, in Iran.
And when they came to the United States, how did they get here? And around what time did they come?
I think they both came the same year, and I don't know if it was 1907 or 1910.
No, Emma came in 1910. She came through Philadelphia, okay?
And Yonan,
Yonan came through Ellis Island and is documented there. I don't remember the year. It was
1910.
1906 or 7, somewhere in there. Maybe it was 10, I don't know.
I have his papers that he traveled with.
Yeah. Well,
It's
his
quite
documents.
it's a lot of writing on it. There's French, there's Arabic writing. I have a lot of his papers that they came with. I'm gonna do something with them. I don't know what, but
I have an idea. You can send me scans or give them to me. I can use them. I didn't know you had them. Just if you don't want to give them to me, scan them.
okay.
And do you know why they came to the United States?
I
Yeah.
imagine to get away from the
Now, tell
suffering over there,
No.
and also they wanted a better life.
No, tell her about Emma and your grandma.
What about it?
His grandmother, one night, their father had gone to Russia for work, and his grandmother was left with Abby and Emma, and they had a meeting in the square. They put all of the Bibles in the middle of the square and burnt it, because I asked Emma why she didn't have a Bible. All people that from Europe usually have a Bible. They burnt all the Bibles, and they told the people to go back home and collect all their belongings, and in the morning they were going to go to another place. So his grandmother grabbed Emma and Abe and whatever food she had, and she walked over the top of the mountains that night. She left as soon as it got dark enough to not to be seen. She walked over, and she had friends that used to live in Russia. Her friend that she went to gave her a tea, the urn for tea. And she had that and 2 children that she went on, and she came somewhere through London, but we don't know where. We can't track it.
And her mother.
And her mother, Emma's mother, was the one that took those 2. And her husband was in Philadelphia. He was a carpenter, but he did the carpentry on ships, for captains. And we haven't found any tables or furniture because he used to write his name underneath, but we haven't found any. It would have said Morad on it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Um,
And Yonan's mother got sick. So she took Yonan and her, I don't know how old Yonan was, we're not sure of that, but they went across the border to a friend's house in somewhere in Russia or in the mountains. And his mother didn't want Yonan there because she knew she was dying. So she gave him some passage money and he worked. And he went all the way to London. He went from London somewhere, Liverpool to New York City.
Yeah.
That's how he got there.
yeah.
There was somebody over there that that he knew. So, because you have to have a job when you got there.
I don't know how he really got there.
He could
I mean,
not remember when I started talking to him. It was too far away for him to remember.
But my mother's father went to Russia to look for work.
Right.
They never heard from him again.
Not your mother's father, your father's father.
No, my mother's father.
No, your mother's father was Morad. He went to Philadelphia.
Oh, that's
He
right.
was
That's right.
carpenter.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, but my father's father went to Russia to work,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't know what happened to him. So,
No, he was never heard of again.
And was your dad the only sibling? Yeah,
no, well,
No, he had eight.
no,
He had eight brothers.
He had a lot of brothers, and I think he said they all died of chicken pox and measles
and
common things like that.
Right.
So I think he might have been the youngest,
he was the youngest. He told me.
and somehow or other, mother gave him some money, maybe on the house that they had.
They sold the house that they had and they moved to Russia. That's where she got enough money
And,
to give to him to travel. But he worked on the way
But
over.
his mother didn't come over.
She couldn't. She was too sick.
So, and I understand that he sent money back to her.
Yes.
But that's about all I know of that.
Thank you. And do you know who perpetrated the conflict? So who was?
Yes. The Kurds. It was the Kurds. Your mother, Emma said it was the Kurds.
Yeah.
Now, whether it was the Kurds or not, that's
No,
what
I
she thought.
believe it was. It was before World War I, so that makes sense. Yes.
Yes, it was before World War I.
Okay. And so what cemetery is your family buried in?
The Yonkers Cemetery.
No, the one,
Yonkers.
you know which one it is. It's
Oakland.
Where your dad is.
Oakland.
Oakland.
And when you were growing up, was there another Assyrian community that you were close to?
Community? No, I don't think so.
Okay.
It was mostly church people.
So tell me, among your friends from Yonkers, who are they? And tell me a story about when you were kids.
Well, Davy Odishu lived across the street. Alice lived across the street.
What was her last name?
Shirley Bedell lived across the street. That was the Assyrians that lived on my block alone.
Who were the ladies that used to go to the church?
We had a lot of other friends.
What about David Baba? No?
No, they didn't live there.
Oh, okay.
I
can't remember all the people's names.
We used to play a lot of games, a lot of time spent in that Sunset Park. It's got Boyle Park now, but it was Sunset Park back then.
Yeah.
And we used to sleigh ride down over the bridge, over the railroad, make the turn down the stairs, otherwise you were going to fly off the end. We did crazy things. What?
Bridge.
The bridge in Sunset Park over the, I think it's gone now. I've been told, so.
What was it over?
Huh?
What was it over?
Over the New York Central Railroad
Railroad.
track, very high up. And you used to come down the park through the hills and then go out to slide off the bridge. And you have to make the right-hand turn down the stairs. It's 2 flights, long way down.
But it was a red flyer, you know, it
Yeah,
could go
whatever.
anywhere.
We did crazy things. We used to, down along the back of the docks, you know, back in where there was a lot of ash spread, rough gravel or whatever it was. And there was an old tractor trailer there, and we used to put a ramp up to it in the back end and go out the side. And we put a mattress in the end, so if you didn't make it, you go into the mattress, but we go out the side. And we had ramps where you go up one ramp and then spaced ramp, go down on our bicycle. And some of us made it, some of them didn't. So.
Oh, boy.
There was a lot of Band-Aids.
And we used to play all kinds of games, ring-a-levio,
Stickball,
all kinds of sports in the
Marbles.
season. We had a game where we got on each other's shoulders and tried to knock the other one off. So it's a whole bunch of us on each other's shoulders. And one time I got down, I cracked my wrist, but that's the only
Chicken fights.
chicken fights, whatever. Whatever. We did it all.
All right. So,
And I used to fish a lot in the Hudson.
did you?
And my mother would never allow me to bring a thing from the river into the house. So if I couldn't give them away, we put firecrackers in their mouth and blow them up.
Oh, lovely.
And I used to catch a lot of bullheads. Sometimes I'd walk down to the ferry, go across and walk all the way down across from our house, which was an old ranger cabin in Old Docks. And I used to catch bullheads, big bullheads in there, and catfish they are, and eels or whatever. And I'd bring a big string of them home, you know, I'd drag them home and try to give them away, but nobody ever wanted them. And the Hudson River, I think it's still this way today. If you put your hand that far under the water, you cannot see them. I never got over that. I never forgot that. And I think it's that way today.
Only a few inches, yes.
The last time I went water skiing by the Tappan Zee
don't
Bridge,
tell them that.
I came up and there were turds floating around me, and that was the last time I went in the Hudson. I stayed in Lake George. That's it. That was the last time.
And when you were a kid,
And
did
that's
you
a
go
long
swimming?
time later, you know, when I had a boat.
When
Now you know why your uncle is a daredevil. No laughing.
a child, did you go swimming in the river?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. My mother used to say, don't go near the river.
He had to get all the tar off of him
Yeah,
before
yeah,
he
that-
came home.
Down at the oil docks and the sandy beach we had. And my father used to take me fishing, and all I had was a line, a pyramid sinker, and a hook and a worm on it. And I'd throw the line out, and hopefully it'd all go out, not tangle up. And that's how I started fishing. And your father bought me my first fishing pole, and I still have it, or part of it. I know. But anyway.
All right.
I remember playing hooky from Hawthorne one afternoon. I didn't go back from lunch, and we went swimming in the Hudson. We took all our clothes off, and I had tar all over me, oil or tar or something all over me. That was fun.
Wow.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
He could write his own book.
Yes.
I used to ride my bicycle up Harriet Street Hill, come down 100 miles. I used to ride my sleigh down Harriet Street Hill and hope nobody was coming across Riverdale Avenue because I was going. And
Tell them how you got your first bicycle.
oh, my brother Bob had a bicycle, and he was 6 years older than me, but for some reason he wasn't getting rid of that bicycle, so I wasn't getting a bicycle. So I went out and I took it out of garbage, people throwing away bicycles, and I made my own. And I made quite a few bikes. And I used to take my bike up North Broadway, up all the way up to almost Tarrytown and back with a single speed. And one time I had a flat tire in I don't know, Ardsley or someplace, and I went to a station, and I said, I don't have any money, but you have a tube. He put a tube in. He didn't charge me any money, so I got to get back home, but that was nice. But yeah, I used to ride that bike everywhere. I had the strongest legs in Gorton High School. I used to ride that bike everywhere.
Up those hills and down those hills, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I have a question for you. Growing up in the Assyrian church, what was that like?
I went to Sunday school at 11 o'clock in the morning till 12. That was in English. And then I stood around for an hour, and everybody, the Hungarian Presbyterians, they owned the church, we rented. So they were having their service while we were having Sunday school downstairs. And then they would leave, and we'd wait around for our parents to come. At 1 o'clock, we had the service in the church upstairs, and it was completely in Assyrian. And I didn't know what they were talking about, you know, what he was talking about. So all those years, and then finally one day, a lot of the kids were growing up, and he did the sermon over in English, and that's the only English I
That was
ever
another hour.
had.
Who was the minister when you were a kid?
Marshall Yako. I used to get in trouble with him all the time. I didn't do my homework or something.
Is he the one that was supposed to come to our wedding? Service our wedding?
Did he come? I don't know.
No, he couldn't come because he had a heart attack. But he wrote everything out for us to read.
Okay. Whatever.
So I hear that you're still getting together with some Yonkers friends very soon.
Who's?
Baba?
Oh, yeah. I just got off the phone with him. I haven't talked to the friends that I grew up in church since college. Not seen him or heard from him or anything. I don't know where anybody went or what they did for a living, what kind of families they had. I'm going to get more of that now. Davey Odishu, I know, he married a girl in Long Island, and she tried to kill him skiing, and he didn't want to ski. So
They're friends, but
they got divorced.
And they've never been married.
They got divorced, and neither one of them ever got married again.
They live apart.
And
we see him once a year.
yeah, we go down to Florida and we see him. He's been my friend for 75 years.
Yep.
So,
Darius?
yeah, Darius. Well, they were older than me. John Amir and Darius and Alice's husband, Babu, they changed his name. His original name was Norman Babu. And when he got married or something, he changed his name to
Norman Baba, yeah.
Baba.
Norman David.
Well, Fred Suleiman was my age, and I was in school with him in junior high.
Which Suleiman?
Huh?
Which Suleiman?
Fred. And Mary Suleiman and whatever, the whole Suleiman thing.
So who are you getting together with?
Darius Fabin, his wife, and maybe John Amir, his wife.
If they can, they're teaching in school now, so we don't know whether he's going to be able to hook up with us.
They're teaching like this on the computer. They both they're both retired, but they actually stayed in
Visual.
so. But they're in Cape Cod. They have a house in Cape Cod, and they live in Worcester too.
We just interviewed John and Alice, and next week we're interviewing David and Darius.
Oh,
Good. That'd be good.
That'll be a lot of fun.
So, is there any family story that you want to tell us that we may not have asked about? Anything you want on record?
Oh. Tell them the story that you just learned about your mother and father and Bill. Wait till you hear this one.
Well, Bill, when he got out of high school, he went with all his friends to join the service. And him and another guy were rejected because Bill wore glasses.
So did his friend.
So they went down to the Merchant Marine Academy and they got into the Merchant Marine. And his friends are saying, why do you want to go in the Merchant Marine? They're submarining, they're blowing the ships out of the water now. And that's when we were feeding, we were in the war. And anyway, so he did. So he went to England on his first trip. He sent a telegram to my mother. And my mother and my father, they didn't want to open it. They were handing it back and forth. And this is a story at church they were telling. Somebody knew about it. And they told the story, and it was that he made it okay, is what he said in the telegram. But they thought it was a death notice, they didn't want to open it. That's how afraid they were.
The minister opened it, right?
No, I don't know.
It got opened.
Yeah. Stories. When we were moving, when I was 5, I sat in a little red wagon with the silverware, and somebody brought me down the hill. And I kept saying, Bill is in the war somewhere. He's out on the ocean. He's not going to know where we moved to. How's he going to know? I kept asking my parents. And they said, don't worry about it. And I said, I'm worried that he's not going to know. So that was when I was 5, I remember that story.
Yeah.
Evidently,
That's sweet.
Huh?
That's very sweet. I can understand at 5, you wouldn't understand how he would find out.
Yeah.
Well, there were so many years between Bill and Kenny.
Yeah, 13 years.
He was almost like a dad.
Yeah. What? Go ahead. Say what you're going to say.
I don't know. I'm trying to think. Go ahead.
And so how about your mom and dad or
We used to go over Viddy's house, Zenhila's house.
Yes, Zenhila.
And a lot on Sundays.
And the girls used to play
evenings,
piano.
and I'd play with the girls when they were little, and we'd watch Ed Sullivan on Sunday nights. I always remember that. And I don't think we didn't have a TV. We didn't have a car. We didn't have
We didn't have a telephone for a while.
We didn't have a refrigerator. We had an ice box for a while.
Didn't have hot water too.
And well, that was another story, hot water. They never sent enough heat or hot water up. My father used to heat water on the stove and pour it in the tub for me.
We used to sit on a little stool in the tub.
Yeah.
In the kitchen to get scrubbed up every night because he was so clean from all that running around.
In the tub too. Yeah. I started smoking when I was 13. I smoked a whole pack of Philip Morris on Vark Street, a block away. And it was awful. It was god awful, but I forced myself to smoke to be one of the boys. And I quit cold turkey when I was 31. I smoked a pack and a half of Luckies a day. I quit cold turkey when I was 31, before my kids were born, and I've been good.
Good.
The
All right.
best, the worst thing I ever did, and it's the best thing I ever did.
So I have a question. Do you ever wish you could go back to see where your parents were from?
Yeah, I'd love to, but I'd be afraid to. God knows, they'd arrest me for something over there. I don't know. You never hear from me again.
Well, Jan, when we were first married, Jan went with some ladies from the church or somewhere, and the three of them went together. And she used to come up for dinner. And of course, she lived at Kenny's house for a while, and she used to sit and tell us stories about, you know, the towns over there and what had happened to them.
I think she went to a Syrian gathering.
Jubilee, that's what it was. It was a jubilee of some sort.
Okay. Jan is Kenny's mother's sister. And,
Now,
Michelle knows more about that.
out of all the kids, who was born in Iran and who was born in the United States?
Kids who?
of those,
John, Jan, Abby.
Abby and
No.
Abby and Emma were born in the old country.
Then she came here, and her husband and her had John first, and then Aunt Jan.
Okay.
Yeah, they went to Chicago. I think my brother Abe, their brother
Oh.
Abby, was in a nursing home or
No, he was in a hospital first, then a nursing home.
you know, a government hospital.
Yeah,
And I think he got the gas, and he wasn't the same man when he came back from the war.
he was very sick.
And then they transferred him to Chicago, and that's how my mother and Jan got to Chicago.
Not your mother.
Yeah, no, not my mother.
No, grandmother.
My grandmother and
Right.
Jan.
Jan
got to
took her
Chicago.
grandmother and her two daughters with her. Oh, no, she didn't have two daughters.
No,
No,
she
she had no children.
She got married out there, and then she had Sharon and Michelle.
Right.
And we used to go out there to visit them on the train overnight. And so I always remember they lived at 3011 North Halsted Street. And Bill went out there to stay with them and live with him for a while when he got out of service.
Right.
And
Uncle John lived there too. Uncle John Morad.
yeah, Uncle John Moran lived there. Anyway, my mother sent my father out to bring him home.
To bring Bill home?
Bill
Yeah.
home, and he went out there and he brought him home. And then he had a woman he wanted to marry, and my mother said, "No, you're not marrying that person." So
She wasn't a Syrian.
that was
That was the end of that.
that was the end of that. So he ended up with your mother. So that was a good thing, I guess.
That was
So,
a good thing.
but he worked out there for a while in restaurants and all that.
That's where he got his restaurant knowledge from. And grandma, she is buried in Chicago, where Aunt Jan is buried with her husband. I don't know the cemetery's name. It's a
Sheba Morad is buried, yes, in Chicago.
Yeah.
and it's in the same cemetery as Aunt Jan was buried with her husband.
Did you hear the story about Michelle taking her mother's ashes out to bury him?
No.
No.
Maybe you
The
should tell us.
cemetery wanted $900 or something to,
No, more than that.
yeah, I'm not doing that. So they brought flowers and they brought a shovel and they went out to the cemetery and they put some in each, in the husband's grave and her grave and 3 different graves. They put some ashes in, the flowers, and that was it.
He's there.
And they went home.
That was her last request. So Michelle did that.
Michelle would do that.
You know, you should call Michelle up too. She knows a lot, and she speaks Assyrian.
I have. And so the husband that is buried in Chicago is a Yohanan, or is that Darcy?
No,
No,
Johanna.
no, Johanna was her first husband.
Yeah,
Darcy
he
was her
died. He
second.
died young, maybe
He was-
48 years old. I don't know.
Yeah, it was like 48, 49.
And
He was a painter. He painted houses.
So which husband is Jenny buried with?
her
Her first
original
husband.
first husband.
Johanna.
Oh yeah, she didn't want anything to do
No,
with
she
Darcy.
didn't want anything to do.
Okay.
That was a problem.
Okay.
And Sharon moved out when he died. They moved to Yonkers and they lived with us. I don't even know where they slept in our apartment, but they lived with us. And Sharon and Michelle went to school with us, you know. And she graduated a year before me. She's born after me. I don't know
That's
how.
Sharon.
She graduated with Davy Audition.
Sharon looks like she's 22 instead of 80.
Yeah, she
Two.
still looks terrific.
Okay. They lived in Yonkers. Okay. All right. So that's it, really, through the questions. I thank you
You're welcome.
very, very much.
Well, I'm glad we got all this Zoom thing fixed up.
I don't know if I remember everything, but church was good. You know, I went to church when I was in college, and then I didn't go anymore. I married a Catholic, though.
So I go to church for him.
You very
I keep him on
Okay.
the straight and narrow.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. It was nice seeing you.
Nice to meet you.
Maybe we would meet
Oh, I
again.
didn't tell you about when I moved to Hudson Falls. We moved up, but anyway.
go ahead, say it. Yes. Tell us what you did up there.
Well, we got married. We did in 2 years before we got married. We did so many things. I would dream up something to do every weekend different. We did it all. And then we got married, and we rented a cottage in Rockland County. We had Kellyanne there. Beautiful little cottage behind a big old house. It must have been like servants' quarters at one time. And then we bought a brand new house in West Haverstraw. And we lived in there a year and a half, and then we moved to Hudson Falls.
What a
My
business.
friend moved up 2 years before me, and he found me an ad in the paper for sale, house in the business in Hudson Falls. And I said, I really don't want to live in Hudson Falls. It's a factory town. I grew up in a factory town. I don't want to go back to that. I want to live in Lake George, but there's nothing. So anyway, so I said, okay, I'll go look. And I go look, and I was impressed with what he did, but it was all homemade. And he printed on glasses. And get me a catalog in my bag. And he did it, everything, as I said, homemade and crude, always crude. But I said, I can do that. Even though I knew nothing about this business, nothing. I bought this. It did $12,000 a year total sales as a part-time business. The guy had a full-time job besides that. And I moved out of a brand new house into his old house, which was nothing but problems. And I learned how to do it. And in 6 years, we starved to death in the backyard, but I wasn't going back to work with somebody else. And we built that business, and we bought a big factory downtown, and we fixed it up to our, and this is some of the things that we did. Printing on
Glassware and plastics and mugs and.
all kinds of crazy things.
And what was one of the big jobs you did?
We did the 1980 Olympics in Lake Placid. We did a ton of stuff for them. For 2 years before that,
We had a lot of customers up there, so the customers wanted to jump on the registered label for the Olympics. So we got ourselves involved in that, and were able to print it. And then all our customers bought from us and stored them in storehouses.
We built it. I mean, I bought a local, he sold to local bar glasses. And in 73, 74 was the oil crisis, and glassware was going up like everything else, but glassware is very dependent on fuel. and it was going through the roof, and I was losing his customers, but I gained some more, and I learned how to do it. And I had a friend of a friend who got me into a real plant in Hackensack, New Jersey, in the middle of the night. I took a camera with me, and I saw the machines that you're supposed to be using. I'm using hand machines that were just a nightmare. You can only do a few. And
So we knew where we had to go.
I knew where I was going to go. So I ended up buying a machine, and then the guy gave me one. He said, pay me when you get time. He rebuilt one. And then I had 4 machines when we were done, 5 machines with gold. And we did I did the World's Fair in New Orleans. I
You
ended
did the
up,
Panama Games.
I ended up selling all over the country and out of the country, in Europe and
We did.
Bermuda and Alaska, and freight, the big problem with glassware going out west. So it was, I had,
Challenge.
and not, when we sold the business in '03, in '04, we went back to Gatlinburg, Tennessee, which is a big show, big show of this. People
our
come from all over,
souvenirs.
And I'd write 100 to 150,000 at one show. That's a lot of glassware. That's a lot of shot glasses, let me tell you. And I used to look at a new boat. I said, how many shot glasses I got to do to get that boat? You know, but we built it.
You even did.
And then all of my competitors, when I went back after I wasn't
A competitor
displaying
anymore.
anymore, I got to walk around all the locations and I saw all my competitors. And every one of them said, boy, you do really great work. And boy, that was it for me. That was the...
And we had no knowledge of the decorating business at all. Zero.
Nothing. We built it.
You should be proud.
It's impressive.
I'm very glad.
We're very proud. We live in a house in Lake George. It's the house that our company
You
built.
got to come out. You got nothing to do now.
Oh, yeah, right. No, she's working.
Yeah. I sit at this computer all day. I would love to come up.
Yeah, you have no excuse now.
Thank you.
Labor Day.
Now you have everything you need.
Thank you.
You're
Just-
welcome.
You got to scan those docs for me.
All right, well, he'll have to lay them out and we'll get them.
Even old photos, if you have, I'll use them for the Genesis.
No, we don't have much of any old photos because Bill took most of those photos, so you have them. We don't have, in fact, we have one picture of Emma and Yonan before they were married. So.
Whatever.
There's not that many. I have to be honest. There's a family I can't identify. There's multiples of them.
Oh, you know who, Bedell too. What about John Bedell? That was Yonan's, that was only Yonan's, they were some sort of distant cousin.
In Connecticut.
In Connecticut.
New Britain.
Yeah, John Bedell. Emma used to go and stay with them for a weekend or so every so often.
In New Britain.
New Britain.
Thank you. I did my DNA and the Bedells come up. I didn't know why.
Okay.
And
they're Yonin's relatives.
It's like a second or third cousin somehow. I don't know how they're related. John Jr. is the only one that we keep in touch with. In fact, he called us a couple months ago.
Is he still?
Life has passed. Yes, he's still alive.
All right.
He's
John
retired.
Jr.
John Jr.
I have to talk to you so Michael doesn't have to participate. But I did find a relative in Chicago who his name is Vladimir, who looks exactly like Bobby.
Really?
I'll have to chat. He comes up as a second cousin.
He might be. It might.
Really?
Yeah. We also, what's the name of the priest that called up? Kambar.
No, there's a Kambar, Kamber. He's a priest somewhere, maybe Massachusetts, I think he lives. But he's on my phone somehow. The people were messing us up.
We don't know how he's, you know,
You think he's connected?
we don't know.
No.
We don't know.
No.
We found a Prince Kamber, spelled Camber, and he was a prince.
Kamber.
They moved him out of Iran. Escorted him out.
Yeah, I can't
You
Can you
can't
see that?
No.
white it out.
No, this is Kenny.
That's my high school picture.
I can't see it well. You'll have to send it to me.
That's his high school picture.
Send it to me.
All right, I got a picture of Bob and Bill and me camping.
I can't, hold on.
She can't see it, it's too small.
I remember that. I have other pictures, I think, from that trip.
Yeah,
A picture of all of us on the boat.
yep.
This one, I think maybe I got it from you with Jenny and
Yeah.
me. Yeah, I was supposed to be a girl, that's why I got long hair there.
That is Bobby that Aunt Jan's holding on to.
Yeah, Bobby never stood for, and then I have the one from church.
Did you see our Jacob's graduation picture?
No, yes, I did. Yes, I did.
He looks exactly like your father at 13.
Yeah, he does.
Unbelievable.
I agree. I even wrote that on Facebook. I'll talk to you guys later.
Okay,
Michael,
just cut this off and it'll go away.
Come on up.
I love you too. She has to go.
Bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Gotta get off my seat.